Hey, welcome. This is a Champ Chat Tuesday. I am excited to give you guys just a little bit of nuggets every Tuesday. I will be on here 7 p.m. sharp to give you guys exactly just a little bit of real estate knowledge to go ahead and go out and pursue and do whatever that you want to do. But today's topic is what we're going to be talking about is how to acquire a free property and create a cash flow off that same property. So a lot of times as we hear in wholesaling, as in real estate, we hear wholesaling or we hear fix and flip, but not too many people talk about creative financing. And here I'm going to talk about how to do two strategies in one. So the first strategy is called subject to. What is a subject to? That means you are buying a property subject to its existing mortgage, right? So you don't have to go out there to go get finance for a property because the note will still be left in the seller's name. So as we all know, a mortgage and a deed, as I say all the time, is two separate instruments. A mortgage and a deed can be transferred. But once a deed, so the mortgage is someone who took out a loan and they still carrying that debt. But a deed is the person who actually owns the property. So you can actually get that deed and become the homeowner and still leave the mortgage inside of the seller's name. And you can acquire that property with little to no capital. So a lot of times as we hear distressed properties, and you can pick up a distressed property is something a property that's going through pre-foreclosure, who is about to lose their property or the property just needs just a lot of work done to it. So you market towards these people who need your help, and you can say, hey, I'm willing to carry the note. Long as that you're willing to leave the note in your name, I'm willing to carry it, pay it off, and still build your credit as while I'm the whole time I'm doing it. Now, it's a different structure, of course. Like you got to structure how long you want to carry the note, how much money are you putting down, et cetera, et cetera. But the good part about it is that you don't have to go out there to go get traditional funding through a real estate agent, or through your traditional bank. Like you don't have to go show a pre-approval letter to say, hey, I'm ready to purchase this property. What you need to do is you and the seller need to sit down and talk and say, hey, how much are you behind, or how much do you need down for me to take over the note? So sellers say, hey, I need 8-9 grand to take over the note. You give them 8 grand, you transfer the deed over to you, and you own the property. But let's just say, hey, that you don't own, you don't have 8 or 9 grand. This what you want to do. Then you want to get on the phone and you want to first start off calling everybody in your phone to let them know that you have a deal. That's the first step is to call everybody, friends and family members and close friends who can actually help you, right? Them are the people who you want to phone. Say, hey, I got this deal going on. I'm willing to do a 50-50 split. If you're willing to put up 8 grand, we can own the property that we can now cash flow. Because now you own the property. So let's just say that the mortgage note is $800 a month that you are paying every month now because you own the property for 8 grand. And you just called a friend to give you the $8,000. And now you own the asset that you didn't have to go get funding for, right? So now $800 worth of mortgage, what you're going to do is you're going to turn around and sell that property to someone else on rent to own. It's called a lease option. So a lease option is that you giving someone a lease, like they leasing the property. They move into the property today. They move inside of it. So they leasing the property with the option to buy. My leases is normally anywhere from about 1.5 to 2 years. But they have to bring 20% down. So let's just say that the purchase price on the property, I carry a note and I got the note. I spent 8 grand to get the note. And so now I have to pay off 100 grand on the property. Let's just say that they still owe 100 grand. I'm going to mark that up 10 to 20%. So now this future buyer, they have to bring 12 to 15 grand down, right? And so now the new purchase price is $115,000 or $112,000 that they have to bring down. So once they bring the 15 grand, I give back the person who I phoned, I give back the 8 grand. We got $7,000 together because remember that this is a 50-50 partnership. So I give them $3,500 on top of their $8,000. I walk away now with $3,500 that I didn't have to do anything but talk to a seller. So now this buyer is on the hook to purchase this property at $100,000. And now I got the note for $800. I'm turning around and selling that same note to this end buyer. They are cash flowing me now $1,200 because I'm paying $800 a month, right? So now they are paying me $1,200 to still stay in the same property. But the good thing about it is that the $1,200 does not go towards that $100,000 that they have to get approved for, because they brought me $15,000, right? So now they have to get funded at $100,000, but they paying the mortgage every single month. So what happens to the mortgage is the mortgage goes down, right? It goes down. So let's say in 2 years now that the mortgage is at $90,000 that they have been paying down, but all of the payments that they have been paying does not go towards they $100,000 what they have to get approved for. So they are spending money while the mortgage is going down. They still have to get funded at $100,000. That does not change. So all the $1,200 that they've been spending for the last 2 years does not go towards the $100,000. So now let's just say, for instance, that now they're ready to close. The mortgage note is $90,000 that need to get paid off. They approve $400,000. They pay it off. What happens to that equity of that $10,000? That $10,000 goes to you and your partner. So there's another $5,000 that you and your partner split. And what happened that I was paying $800 a month for the mortgage, but I turned around and sold it to them for $1,200, created $400 cash flow, right? Now that same $400 cash flow over the last, 2 years? So you getting $400 every single month for the next 24 months. That's an additional $9,600. So not only did you make $7,000 on the front end of when they brought the $15,000, and you gave your partner back his $8,000, and then y'all had $7,000 of profit. You split that and you walked away with $3,500. They got to get approved at $100,000, and they've been paying the mortgage down to $90,000. That'll go another $10,000, right? So now you split that with your partner. Now you got $8,500, and now the $400 cash flow every single month equals up to $9,600. Now you split that with your partner, and again, now you're looking at $4,800, right? So you done created about about 12 grand that you just created, that you didn't have to go out there and go get funding or use a hard money lender or or go in and try to use your real estate agent to get funding for this property. You did the whole transaction from start to finish with your friend who you called and said, hey, I got this sweet deal, this property. This guy is about to lose this property, and he's looking for $8,000. So $8,000, you take over the deed, you pay $800 a month, you turn around and sell that same deed to somebody else on rent to own for $115,000. They bought you $15,000. They paying $400 every single month for the next 2 years. $9,600, right? So they paying $400 for the next 2 years. Then on top of that, they got to get funded at $100,000, so they go another $10,000. So you done created a $24,000 profit for yourself and for your partner, but you got to split it 50-50. So you can create a $12,000 on a property that, 1, you did not have to go get funding for. 2, you did not have to use your credit to go get, and you got a free property. It's a free home. So stay tuned. I will have more video clips like this soon.